Oh, yeah. We get Game 2 of the NBA Finals. The Phoenix Suns have a final series lead for the very first time in franchise history. After taking Game 1, 118-105 in Game 2 is a big deal for the Bucks because teams that take a 2-0 series lead in the finals have an all-time series record of 31-4. The Suns were absolutely cooking. We get Game 2. That's coming up at 9 p.m. Welcome into Hoop Streams, presented by DoorDash. I'm Christine Williamson, and as much as I'd like to talk to you by myself, I got two friends with me in studio, Gary Stripesky and Trevor
The energy just dropped. So crazy.
Not only do we have Game 2, but DoorDash back in the building.
Yes.
Dasher Zach with the special Game 2 delivery. Trevor, I think I know what we got.
You do. Taco Bell for the kids. Once again, Grub City. Once again, Dasher Zach coming through. We will make sure to tip this man heavily. He's been the only driver in Bristol to take care of
logging
us.
miles.
Yes. Much respect. Appreciate you. Excited. It's all outdoors for Game 2. That ENG crew must have had a hell of a time filming all of those scenes. I think one of them had to be in a hot air balloon or something. That was awesome.
What is your assignment for today? You're going up.
Going up.
Where?
Could it have been a drone?
Later? Yeah, Arizona.
Fair.
It's 2021. People have drones. They have flying cameras these days. Also, Dasher Zach with his mask is so immaculate. The DoorDash mask, like how
crispy.
Perfect is that? All right, so we got Game 1. Obviously, the Suns won. The thing that stood out to me the most is the fact that Giannis only had 11 shots in that matchup, right? So do you feel like the Bucks are going to be able to take a game off of the Suns if Giannis is producing in that way?
So I think that we should all be a little bit surprised, but not really. They call him the Greek Freak for a reason, right? The way he was able to go from doubtful to questionable to 35 hard minutes, 20 points. What was more impressive to me was how he got those points, 11 shots, yes, but he was banging down low, right? He had 17 boards, so he was fighting for him. He wasn't the issue during that game, right? He even said, like, once things got started, I was feeling pretty good, and Chris Middleton got his 29 points.
29 points.
They just need more assistance going on. Like, Giannis will level up, but, man, he needs some help. Drew Holiday, for example.
Yes, absolutely. So, there's a little bit, that's like a surface takeaway that is completely correct, and then there's, a little bit deeper dive you can do because he came out the gate strong, and you could see that the knee was healthy, which, again, to your point, a superpower of the Greek Freak that Kevin Arnovitz has touched on in his myriad of appearances across our ESPN platforms, that it was him healing, which was phenomenal. But yes, Drew needs to be a little bit more aggressive, and Chris needs to be just a little bit more efficient. That's the one thing that they need to do. Somebody
that I like his aggressiveness off the court is in his arrival game is Devin Booker because he's been pulling up.
Pulling up in slabs.
He might be the NBA's vintage car king at this point. So how do we feel about Babyface Book's
Hey, first of all, this Buick right here?
Yes.
$100,000.
Yes, easily.
They
murdered out
500 of them in 1987.
Right.
It's
so the fact that that is the case is just
And then of course this is Pretty Penny, 1959 Impala.
Pretty
That's the one that,
love a good Chevy.
Is that the Sunday special?
This is okay. So first game he shows up in all black.
Yep.
The all black suit. Now he's all white.
So Devin Booker is coming in as a pallbearer.
What does that mean? I mean, also, who's dressing him? No offense, but
what do you mean? That's crispy as heck.
He looks like he's somebody's pastor.
It's just a lot of buttons. The double-breasted, it can be aggressive.
Man,
so.
you guys are hating on the double-breasted, man. My guy looks fantastic right here at this point. I want to see the car. And not for nothing, D-Book, 24 years old, he really did a turn recently in the whip game. He was Ferrari, exotics, brand new. And then he switched it up recently in the last year, and it's classics only,
I
bench
love
seats strictly.
Dunks, I love all of the idea of him just going retro is all outdoors. Yes.
He's an old head.
Yeah, he does. I don't know what he's doing. I guess he is an old head. It's the old vibes. That's what he's bringing. Okay, so let's bring up the rest of our friends. We got Cass, we got Perk, we got Jacoby. What's good, folk? I want to give an update on our fantasy situation because, Jacoby, you asked this offline. You were like, where are we right now? But before we give you an update, I just want to remind everybody how this works. Our scoring system is a point per scored, rebound, and assist. Jacoby, you're winning. You have 65 points.
He knew.
No way. He knew.
65 points. Cass is in second with 57.
12.
Trev is in third place. Christine, myself, is in fourth. Gary, Perk, you guys are holding down the back end. I would like to point out that the best player was Chris Paul.
Word.
He had 45 points. And the
Good
worst
boy.
player was Bobby Portis. He had 8 points, and Trev had both of them and is going strong at third. So shout out to you, Trev.
Perk, now I know why you've been so mad. Now I know why you've been so mad at Drew Holiday these last couple days.
I got 160 million reasons why, okay?
Not just 37 reasons, 160 reasons. Wow. Okay, so before we continue talking about this, let's take a look at how game one actually played out after looking at our fantasy stuff.
Chris Paul at age 36 gets to play in his first finals. He's coming off one of the best games of his career. Meanwhile, Giannis and Booker, after missing the last 2 games of the conference finals, is in the lineup.
The goal is right there. Enjoy this game, play together, play hard. Come on, look at it, look at it. Come on, box on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Good evening and welcome to Game 1 of the 2021 NBA Finals, featuring the Eastern Conference champion Milwaukee Bucks and your Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns. Suns looking to push at every opportunity. Oh, Booker, nice move, gets inside, layup off the glass. Sweet play from Devin Booker. And they made a little run. Now we make a run. Again, drives inside and throws it down. Let's go! There is no hesitancy from Giannis and Booker. Crowder to Bridges up inside, blocked by Antetokounmpo.
Blocked from behind on the chase down by Giannis. And the crowd is still trying to process what Giannis just did.
A lot of good looks. Good job sharing it. Keep playing with each other. Drives left-handed from the opening. Chris Middleton doing a little bit of everything. Suzanne.
Chris Paul's been putting on a show.
Chris Paul has electrified the crowd here in Phoenix.
They're witnessing one of the all-time greats. Never played a point guard position.
Paul on the drive, draws the contact, count it, and one. Chris Paul's first finals game has been a brilliant performance.
This trust we've been building all season long for these moments. We're going to keep playing. It's just one game. Got to stay locked in. Just one down. We ain't done. We are not done. We're going to enjoy the win tonight and get ready for tomorrow.
All right, Cassidy, I was back with Big Perk and Jacoby. And guys, you know, we've had a couple days to digest game one. Perk, when you think of the biggest story to come out of game one, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
My X factor, Deandre Ayton. I mean, he was just dominant on both ends of the floor. I mean, when you look at what he done, having to hold his own against Brook Lopez and Giannis, attacking them down here, along with a mixture of Bobby Portis and a rough rider and PJ Tucker, who also go down there and mix it up. I mean, the guy almost finished with a 20 and 20, 21 points, 19 rebounds, and the way that he anchored that defense was huge for the Phoenix Suns. He was the X factor. I know Chris Paul and Devin Booker did a lot of the scoring, but DeAndre Ayton was a man amongst boys, a straight killer.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense I get from the Suns that they're even surprised at how consistent, reliable he's been in these playoffs. And you can argue he's been the most reliable player throughout these playoffs. And look, Perk, you keep calling him David Robinson 2.0. Jacoby, what are your impressions of Ayton and where he fits in the bigs conversation across the league?
It's been such an interesting evolution for DeAndre Ayton, because remember when he was drafted, everyone was saying, you know what, he's big, but he can shoot, but he's got a jump shot. And Chris Paul came to town and was like, don't worry about that jump shot, big fella. You're going to be rim running. But you look at other rim runners in the league, like you asked, like gentlemen that we've seen in the playoffs, like Capella and Gobert. They just kind of catch lobs and finish around the basket. Ayton has so much more than that. He can catch lobs and finish around the basket. He had a nice jump hook in the game, and he caught one pass around the three-point line 2 agile steps into a finish. He's just got that rim lob catching ability that a lot of bigs have, but a lot more dynamic to his game and agility to his game than those other players do.
Yeah, he's establishing himself as a star in these playoffs. I need you guys to hold on because I got another person who has established herself as a superstar, of course, through the last year, and that's Malika Andrews, who's joining us from the sidelines. She will be on the sidelines again for Game 2. Malika, heading into this series, you were essentially on Giannis watch, and then you watched Giannis in Game 1 take the court, play 35 minutes. What do you know about how he's feeling heading into Game 2?
Well, the good news, Cassidy, for the Milwaukee Bucks is that coming out of playing those 35 minutes that you mentioned, Giannis Antetokounmpo said his hyperextended left knee, it felt good. And he said that he really is tired of talking about his knee. He feels good enough to be at the point that they can look towards making adjustments for tonight for Game 2. He said he's tested out his body a little bit now. He knows its limitations. He knows he can feel a little bit more comfortable being on the court now. And so he wants to try to be a little bit more aggressive in this Game 2. And obviously he's going to need a little bit of help. Drew Holiday told me he didn't have the best shooting night in Game 1, so he's going to try to improve. Chris Middleton needs to continue to be aggressive, and they need to be better with their transition defense. But for the Milwaukee Bucks, considering Giannis Antetokounmpo said that the moment he went down in the Eastern Conference Finals, there was a fear in his mind that he was going to be out for an entire year, Cass, this is good news for them.
Absolutely, and I heard your reporting, a few weeks ago where you said you were there when he went down, and you heard him, screaming from up top. So it's a really great sign to see him playing in Game 1, looking to see him get more comfortable here as the series goes along. Meanwhile, you had a chance to speak to Devin Booker yesterday, and I want to take a second to listen to his answer when you asked him about his relationship with CP3.
Chris Paul said after your Western Conference Finals run, when he was asked, well, what's the reason that you signed with the Phoenix Suns, he pointed to you. What does that mean to you?
It's hard. That's one of those ones that I'm going to have to reflect back on. His past experiences have motivated him to this point, to where he wants it, and he wants it bad. And it's a contagious feeling. It's really contagious, just seeing it in his eyes. He doesn't even have to say anything to us, just understanding what he's worked so hard for a very long time.
And Malika, what was the sense that you got from Devin in your conversations about how he's handling this final stage?
Well, Devin Booker is confident, but he also said he knows that the job isn't done. He said that one of his mentors, the late Kobe Bryant, if he was here today, one of the things that he would be telling him is to finish the job. And so Devin Booker has long said, we don't have finals experience. The only player on either team that has played in the finals before this moment was Jae Crowder. But Devin Booker said, look, we've been through a lot in this run to the finals. And so they're relying on that experience, along with the fact that, Chris Paul has never been to the finals before, but he started in 123 playoff games before he made it to this finals. That is the single most of any player who has not made a finals appearance in NBA history, Cassidy. So this team is relying on the experiences they had, admitting whatever teacher wants to hear, we don't know what we don't know, and they're trying to power through that in order to take home their first championship as a group.
Yeah, and Book has been really impressive these playoffs. Almost as impressive as his line of vintage cars, which you asked him about in your interview. And you can check out the rest of Malika's interview on the ESPN YouTube page right now. Also, don't miss Malika on the sidelines tonight for Game 2, 9 Eastern on ABC. Have a great call.
Thanks so much. We all need a pretty penny, one of the cars to ride in, Cass.
No, I know that's right. All right, guys. Nailed it. Guys, we're back on Big Perk and Jacoby. Yeah, right? Like, I don't know which one's my favorite. What are you laughing about? What you laughing about?
I'm just laughing at the ending of it. That was
She's ready. She is ready for this game too. I think we all are. But I just want to pick up a little bit more on the Devin Booker conversation. And just, what have you noticed about the pairing of Booker and CP3 and how Devin has evolved, Perk, under CP3's tutelage, if you will?
Well, it's the obvious is that they has become one of the best backcourt in the NBA. And the thing that I'm most impressed about them is that if one has it going, they pick their spots. They play well off each other. Gender-free basketball. Both of those guys look for one another for as making the right play and right pass. Just because it's your play doesn't mean it's your shot. And I see the chemistry between the two. We already know that Chris Paul could finish the game with 0 points and 20 assists. But what I'm seeing right now is Devin Booker making the extra pass when teams are coming in, and he's drawing a lot of attention. That is called growth, and that shows that CP3 is rubbing off on him in the right form and fashion.
And Jacoby, even though, Devin Booker maybe didn't have the best offensive game from the field, I mean, he killed them at the line. So let's take it over to the Bucks side. What do you think has to happen, first and foremost, for the Bucks to try to even up this series?
Well, they need to figure out how to guard the pick and roll. This has been the story heading into game one, and you watched it in game one. Everyone's saying drop or switch, but you can drop, you can switch, you can blitz, you can fight over the screen. They need to figure that out because CP3 was just playing with his food. He was playing with his food in game one.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you want me to drive to the rim? I'll drive to the rim. You want me to do a sidestep 3? I'll do a sidestep 3. You want me to give it to Ayton? I'll give it to Ayton. I really think that Robin Lopez is the key to them. If they can punish the Suns for having Lopez on the floor on the offensive end, if he can hit a couple threes, get some buckets in the paint, then that'll work for them. But if he's hurting them on the defensive end, it's going to be a long night for the Bucks because of that man, CP3.
Well, Jacoby, let me take you back just a little bit to that point, right? We can't overreact to game one because we had to give the Bucks the benefit of the doubt that they had a quick turnaround, so they couldn't make adjustments. They used the same defensive scheme that they did that worked for the Atlanta Hawks. The only problem is when Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis will get put on that island after they were forced to switch to pick and roll, is that the Phoenix Suns do a great job of having player movement. So guys are not able to load up those boxes and elbows and make it look like a 1-2-2 zone. Now, what needs to happen is that Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and P.J. Tucker has to stop taking the lazy way out and start getting into the body, getting up over them screens, squaring that ball up where they don't have to force the switch and put those bigs on the island alone. That's what needs to happen. I mean, all three, Drew Holiday and P.J. Tucker are considered elite perimeter defenders. It's time to show up. It's how bad you want it. It has nothing to do with schemes anymore once it gets to this point when you're talking about the NBA Finals.
So you're putting the onus on the individual player. Because if they're being told to switch 1 through 5, that was like when Drew Holiday post game, he seemed real disappointed. I'm not sure if he was disappointed in himself or disappointed in just their defensive plan, because he said we can't give them a steady dose of the same coverage. That's our problem. We need to get into Chris Paul. We need to make them uncomfortable because, to your point, I mean, both Devin Booker and CP3 are mid-range assassins, and they are basically rolling out the red carpet for them, Jacoby.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean, you can't just let Chris Paul. Chris Paul wants to shoot from the elbow. That's where he wants to shoot from. We all know that. Like, he didn't shoot that many threes in the playoffs. He hit a couple in game one, but he wants to get to that elbow and shoot that patented little shot that he has. And what you need to do is stop him from doing that. You know what Chris Paul doesn't want to do at 36 years old? Drive to the basket, get contested, feel some bodies, fight to the line. That's not what Chris Paul wants to do, so make him uncomfortable, because you know what Chris Paul's been in the last couple games? Extremely comfortable and effective.
Yeah. Perk, no, I know you tossed out that it could be Suns in 4. Jacoby, you said the Suns in 5. So if the Suns go up 2-0, Perk, are you definitely calling this series over?
Well, first of all, the Suns are not going up 2-0 because I actually had the Milwaukee Bucks winning this game tonight. For some strange reason, I feel like the Milwaukee Bucks are going to come in here prepared. I look at that Phoenix Suns, I look at game one, and I watched what the Phoenix Suns had to do to actually win that game. And that big three and Ayton, CP3, and Devin Booker really had some superstar performances across the board. CP3 hit some tough tough contested 2-point and 3-point shots. I don't know if those three could put together a game like that against the Milwaukee Bucks team on a consistent basis. I think the Milwaukee Bucks will make the adjustment. I think Drew Holiday will show up today and get in CP3 airspace and make him uncomfortable, like Jacoby said, and that's picking him up full court. That's how you make him uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you start. That's how you set the tone, Jacoby and Cassidy. Pick him up full court, slide those puppies like he did Trae Young and Lou Will.
I mean, Jacoby, Perk just gave his pick. You might as well give yours.
Listen, I know we built a whole network on disagreeing, but the fact is I have the Bucks tonight too. When you look at game one, everything went right for the Suns. Everything went right. They shot 96% from the free throw line. Crowder missed one at the very end. Like, you just don't shoot upper 90s from the free throw line. Chris Paul put up for performance for his history, and Ayton was, I think it was 8 for 10 from the field. Like, they had the game of their lives, and it was still a 7-point game in the fourth quarter. I think that tonight, I'm picking the Bucks, but another thing, I think the vibe will be different. Watching game one, it just felt like the Suns' night. I think this will be a true finals, no lead bigger than 5, going down to the wire, timeouts, reviews, like that type of a game is what I expect this evening. And I expect the Bucks to win.
All right, we'll get much more into this matchup. We'll be back with Perk and Jacoby. Plus, Zach Lowe will be joining us later as we continue to preview this game, too. Let's now send it back over to Christine, Trevor, and Gary in Bristol. What's good, guys? What you guys doing?
I actually want to get back into this Devin Booker conversation because while we were away, somebody tweeted and said that Gary Striesky looks like Devin Booker. And I'm very confused by this.
Hey, that's not the first and it's not going to be the last, all right? It's the story that I tell at every opportunity. I was at the Charlotte airport and somebody came running up to me, Book, can I get a picture? And then it wasn't Devin Booker, and they were like, oh, wait, Gary Striesky, can I get a picture? So anyway, yeah, that's my twin.
AKA Gary Striesky's burner account.
There it is. Hey, I'll take
That's
it.
who tweeted it. You're right, Cash. You're so right. You're so right. Okay, so you're watching Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. We got, I was going to try to do the math. It's 8:22. We got that many minutes until 9 o'clock.
38. Come on now. Come on now.
I was just like, wait, hold on. This is a little bit too hard. But since we figured out that Gary is tweeting himself saying that he looks like Devin Booker during the show, let's take a look back at game one so that we can kind of revisit it before we get into this one. So it's time to enter the zone presented by DoorDash. The Suns have had a red start run to game 2 of the finals. But we start with Giannis Antetokounmpo because that chase down block was straight fire. Like, was this the best chase down block that we've seen?
We ain't got to do that. Like,
Was it?
hey, block by James is always going to reign supreme. But this was damn good, right? Like, this was really enjoyable. Matter of fact, the side-by-side comparison started immediately.
It was the only block he had in the game. It's the only one he needed, as we recollect the 2016 block that James had. That will live in infamy. But I'll tell you one thing, Milwaukee fans loved seeing it because that was in the second quarter. And of course they were still like, how's the knee?
Correct.
If there was any question or issue with the knee, we would have seen it there.
But this one from Tayshaun Prince is actually one of those throwback ones that I had forgotten until our producer, Chris Cologne, who actually works for the Pistons, so no surprise there, brought this one up to us. And I was like, yo, okay, yes, this is a dang good block.
We got to get Tayshaun in there. We got to get Tayshaun in there.
Okay, next, Booker's layup. A little flashback to MJ.
Hey,
With the shiftiness?
the unnecessary sleight of hand.
I don't know if that was unnecessary, man. He was losing his balance the entire time from the three-point line all the way until he went up, under, and over. And I think to Jacoby and Perk's point, that was just another instance of really everything going the Suns' way. Like, he was stumbling for 20 feet. And he still got the kiss off the glass, man. It was Phoenix's night, and then CP.
Yeah, dog. I mean, dog, he's
He's a vet. He knows what he's doing.
Old man game personified, and he crushes with it. You hear me? Like, it is nothing to him to get into the paint. And I know Jacoby said he's not really trying to do that at the age of 36. And I agree with that. But when he does get down there, he's going to make something shake. It's not going to be an issue.
Here's the thing. When you're driving on the streets and you see a car, It's got curb rash all over the rims. It's got some dents in it. You're like, I'm going to stay away from this car. That's CP3 when he's driving in the paint with the ball. Like, he's going to try to cause
danger area.
He's going to try to cause some sort of collision that's going to be your fault. And it's going to send him to the line, even though he was only 4 for 4 from the free throw line. But he's going to find a way to initiate contact because he's a vet and he basically coined the move.
Crafty. Like,
the guy is super crafty. I was going to just use that word. Where does he rank in your list of craftiest players?
I mean, he right up there. It's got to be him.
He could be the sponsor for Michael's Arts and Crafts store.
Hobby Lobby.
But
Since we just throwing out stores that's not sponsoring this show. I mean, like,
he's a crafty individual. What do you mean? It's a perfect marriage.
And here's the thing, like, for those that want to throw shade his way for his ability to create contact, his tendency to draw fouls. Like, first of all, I'm not in any position to, throw any shade. I am a fan of Trae Young. But even beyond that, that is a part of how this game has been played for quite some time now with the legislation that has come down from the league offices. So he takes advantage of it in the most efficient possible way and cashes in.
You're going to take what you can get. And if the refs and if this is going to be the way the game is played, he's going to cash in on it. Of course, it's free money. It's free points. It's a free timeout when the ref has to blow the whistle. He's 36. Let's not forget that.
The last free you had to get was free throw, and you didn't take it.
And a free throw. Jacoby already hit on that point, 90-something%. So I don't need to do it again.
Okay, so knowing that he's crafty and he's an OG, he's a vet, are you cheering for him specifically to win the finals?
100%.
Yeah. Got to, right?
I think that we kind of had this conversation as a collective unit with all of us. Hey, is it more important for Giannis? Is it more important for CP? Well, right now, CP, because he's on the back nine. Heck, he's on the last quarter. And Giannis, he's got nothing but green pasture out in front of him. So, like, CP's window, it is closing. He got a handful of years left, and this might be the best and last opportunity he has. So, yeah, of course everybody's rooting for him.
Not to mention it's his first opportunity,
also
right? Like, that is one of the things that it is remarkable to hear about Chris Paul in a storied career as his, like him just now getting to this peak in the NBA sort of mountain range, right? Like, that is exceptional in and of itself. And so, you root for him very easily.
Yes, his legacy will certainly be solidified if he wins a championship, but let's take a look back at what he's given us so far.
I just feel like I gotta be me. I am who I am. If you want something, you gotta work for it.
I've been grinding all day and all night. Hall of Fame on my mind.
Paul on the drive, draws the contact, count it and one. Get back 3 over Lopez. It's good and the foul.
He is shining here in game 1.
Saw you getting your hand wrapped up. Everything good? You feeling good for game 2 already?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Another guy who grinds all day and all night, Zach Lowe, joining
There you go, my guy.
So happy
What's
to
up,
have
guys?
Zach back with us. I know. NBA Finals, let's go. And look, Zach, you got an article on ESPN.com right now. Don't walk, run to read it because it's about Jae Crowder's career arc and how he's become the NBA's premier role player. What is it about his mentality that's made him a key part of winning teams during various stops across his career?
First of all, he's not scared of anyone. He will salsa dance right in LeBron James' face. He doesn't care who you are. He trash talks everybody in practice. He trash talks Jimmy Butler. But why he's a plug-and-play role player, a guy that everybody wants, he can shoot threes, and he can guard almost every position on the floor. And in the modern NBA, that makes you a really valuable role player. He doesn't need the ball. He can spot up, but he doesn't hold the ball. It doesn't stick with him. He makes the extra pass. He's bringing everything to the table and taking almost nothing off the table. He's like that guy that just locks in every lineup. Like, every lineup feels a little bit steadier, a little bit more kind of making sense with Jae Crowder in it. The Heat never recovered from losing him, and the Suns are super happy to have him.
Perk, how do you describe the Jae Crowder factor for the Suns team?
Well, let me tell you, one of the most wonderful human beings to be around, right? One of the best teammates that I've ever had. I played, and it was a short stint with him in Cleveland. Great guy, but he's the ultimate competitor. And I love that because he brings me back to that old school. And like, he reminds me of when I was on the Celtics. If you didn't have on the Celtic jersey, we wasn't fooling with you. Like, that's how Jae Crowder is. Like, there's no friends on the floor. He's all in. He's a guy that you don't have to worry about having to a hidden agenda. He's a guy that's going to do everything that he needs to do to make sure that the team gets a win. Now, is he going to make every shot? No, but he's going to make the winning plays that don't show up in the stat sheet. And when things are not going well for him and he's on the bench, he's going to be that guy up rooting for his teammates. One of the best teammates I've ever had. One of the best guys I've ever been around.
Yeah, I mean, if you just looked at the box score from game one, you would have your criticisms of Jae Crowder, but he does the intangibles. And look, I listened to your After the Buzzer podcast with Brian Windhorst. Zach, it's a collaboration of the Hoop Collective and the Low Post. And you guys had an interesting discussion about another guy who's receiving some criticisms, and that's Brook Lopez and the predicament that Bud has with him. How do you view the Bucks' options in this series when it comes to Lopez?
Well, first of all, they need him because they need his rebounding, they need his rim protection, they need him to make some threes, and they need him to get inside and dunk and cut and all that stuff he did against the Hawks when Giannis is off the floor. They also need him because they're just running out of players, and Giannis is playing on a knee that maybe if this is the regular season, he wouldn't be playing. They don't have a lot of depth, so they need everybody. But it's no shocker that Brook Lopez, is as improved as he is defensively in space, can't guard Chris Paul on switches and can't guard Devin Booker on switches. These are two all-NBA level players, two all-stars, two guys who feast in the mid-range, who can roast him one-on-one over and over again and get to their spots. I don't think that's a strategy they can use as their base strategy. They can use it. Sometimes they can mix it up. The only answer against guys like this is to mix it up. But I think they're going to have to recalibrate their defensive strategy because they cannot leave Brook Lopez on an island against Chris freaking Paul and Devin Booker. That doesn't mean he can't be on the floor. They just can't leave him on an island 40, 50 possessions in a game. 10, 15 maybe, not as many as they did in game one.
Jacoby, I mean, what are your expectations of Brook Lopez, if you have any?
Well, I think Brook Lopez has been unfairly criticized throughout these playoff runs, especially after game one. I think that Coach Bud does make adjustments, unlike other people. I think he's going to be like a pitcher on the mound. He's going to sometimes throw Brook Lopez out there, sometimes go small and put P.J. Tucker and Giannis out there. Sometimes he'll replace Lopez with Portis. Sometimes he's going to hedge. Sometimes he's going to drop. Sometimes he's going to switch. I think it's going to be a variety of different ways to approach this Suns offense, which is going to be successful for the Bucks, not just one thing that works.
I want to go to the big on the other side. And Zach, you know, Perk has mentioned a few times now that DeAndre Ayton reminds him of David Robinson 2.0. I'm curious your thoughts on that comparison.
Well, the Admiral is a dream teamer, so those are big words. But I do think it's interesting because DeAndre Ayton has Admiral. What made him special was A, he was built like the Terminator, and B, for a big, he could face up, take you off the bounce, make a mid-range jumper. Ayton has some of that in his game. We've seen it a little bit, but he's sacrificed that. He's let that go away for a bit because this team doesn't need him to do that to win. They need him to do the dirty work. And I think going forward, as Chris Paul gets even older and as DeAndre sort of grows into himself as a player, it's going to be really interesting to see how much of that game can come out, how much the Suns say, okay, man, go crazy. Let's see what you can do. We need you to do a little bit more on offense because it's in there somewhere. And to his credit, he's subsumed it for the betterment of the team this year, and he's become outstanding at all the grimy things he's doing, the rim running, the shot blocking, the rim protection, the screening. He's leaned into all that. But Perk's right in that he has a lot of untapped potential that we're just not seeing right now, and that's fine. For this team, it's perfect.
I mean, yeah, Perk, Zach, did you steal that for some kid outside?
Yeah.
No, I did. I did. This a long story how we got it, but it's a good story, right? No, I don't think it could fit around. I don't even think it could get around my hand at this moment. But listen, this is the thing. This is the thing when I say he reminds me of David Robinson. We already know David Robinson is an all-time great, but when you look at his style of play, you look at how he runs up and down the floor. He's super fast. He runs the floor like a gazelle. The way he's able to get off the floor, his second jump, that nice soft touch around the basket. He does have a face-up game, but let's not forget now. David Robinson was snatching the screws out the rim. DeAndre Ayton is doing the same thing, but I just think with their demeanor demeanor, right? They don't show a lot of emotions. They don't have a scowl on their face. They're not hoorahing and getting in guys' faces, but they have a killer mentality and they get the job done. And when you look at it, you look at the end of the night, he's a guy, Deandre Ayton is a guy that will finish the game with 20 points, 12 rebounds, 5 or 6 blocks, and he'll just have a tremendous effect on the basketball game like David Robinson.
I mean, look, a comparison to David Robinson is a big compliment, but I mean, Deandre Ayton is a guy who has shown strides of improvement that, like, even the Suns are pretty shocked at seeing his consistency. I've said this, but, you know, he's admitted that, like, he didn't really know how to be a professional. And early on in his career, he was scared of different matchups. He would look across the court and be like, I have to guard him. And now we're seeing him as essentially the switch killer. And he's taking on every single matchup. And just seeing his development in this postseason has been so fun to watch. And he's going to have to take on a little bit more, Zach, because Dario Saric out for the series with a torn ACL. How do you see that impacting the Suns' rotation?
Yeah, it's such a bummer. Dario's had a nice season, and it's always been fun to see. He always seems to get matched up with these big behemoths like DeMarcus Cousins. It's always a fun matchup between small ball, pick and pop Dario and those big guys. But look, Frank Kaminsky didn't look very good in game 1, and he's kind of been out of the rotation for a while. They used Jae Crowder and Torrey Craig kind of as the centers. I like that look, and Deandre Ayton's just going to play a ton of minutes. And to another Perk point, one of the things we've seen with DA is he doesn't get in foul trouble, hardly ever. Like one game against the Nuggets, he got in foul trouble, and that's big in this series. He played 39 minutes in game 1. They're going to need him to play that kind of minutes load in this series, and he's proven he can do it. And Perk can tell you, 39 minutes when you're running rim to rim and bodying people up and all that, that's not easy.
You know one player that did it in his career, Zach, that didn't have 0 fouls and put up monster numbers and played 30-plus minutes? You're looking at him right here.
I'm thinking David Robinson. Oh, you? Okay.
I love it. Zach, appreciate you coming on Hoop Streams. Of course, don't miss Zach's work on ESPN.com and his podcast, The Low Post, where you find your podcast. Are you going to be doing another After the Buzzer tonight?
Oh, yeah. Got to brew some coffee. Get ready to go. It's going to be a late night.
And you can check that out in the morning. Enjoy game 2, Zach. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys. Good to see everybody.
I'll send it over back to Christine in Bristol. Christine?
Thanks, Cass. You're watching Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. We got a little under an hour to tip. 23 minutes. That's Chris Middleton. In game 1, he had a team-high 29.7 rebounds and 4 assists. It wasn't enough, though. Let's see if the Bucks can pull off game 2. I was really impressed with my math skills right there.
Yeah,
thanks, Trev.
on the fly.
I felt like I was under pressure. So you guys have some bottles.
Yes. Secret sauce, if you will.
What exactly is in them?
I cannot disclose that for fear of what ESPN's substance abuse policy is.
But you see those muscles. You see those muscles.
We were inspired by seeing both Chris Paul and Devin Booker having their own little bottle of secret sauce.
I'm actually a little jealous.
Hey, well, look, I was surprised because I saw people roasting the idea of, like, Devin Booker's block lettering on his bottle. It's not easy. It's very difficult to draw these block letters. And I'm proud of myself for getting what I did in here.
And there's actually not a lot of real estate because what you wanted to go with, as Book hits us with that's alkaline water. You know, he's got that kind of budget. He's thirsty, too.
He's playing a basketball game.
You think it was like arts and crafts time for the Suns players? Like, hey, everybody, write your name. Look, that's Chris's secret stuff. We got the same secret stuff because when you're an old person like Chris Paul and myself,
you need it.
You got to have that extra something. Trevor, I'm also a little upset that available. that you didn't put Crimson Comet on your bottle.
Because when you were playing,
no,
that was the moniker.
That was not the moniker. It was never a thing, and I need you to stop spreading this propaganda as if it was true. Stop.
If anybody wants to say anything to Trev, make sure you tweet at Trevor Scales, and then make sure that you say, hey, Crimson Comet, before you say anything.
And just drop a pin when you.
Okay, so speaking of secret sauce, we saw our guy, I don't know why I said our guy, James Harden and Lil Baby at Paris Fashion Week. They were holding it down. A lot of interesting things came out
So much
of Fashion Week, but here they are. They look dapper.
Yeah.
I personally think that James Harden is one of the best dressed NBA players.
Yeah.
I know that we've had over the course of the season, we've had some conversations about what he's wearing, but this was my favorite thing because they popped up on some paparazzi, and both of them
Parisian
were incredibly shook and confused about what was going on.
Les baby.
So what did you guys see?
So, a couple
when this
takeaways
happened?
from that, and shouts to Twitter just in general for having all the one-liners available for our disposal. But one I saw that said that James Harden looked like the director of the Mississippi Mass Choir. Which, it's fantastic. That's what's up to that. And the fact that Baby was so confused at everything going on.
I'm still confused right now.
Oh,
I didn't know it was Paris Fashion Week. Then I was like, what week in Paris really isn't Fashion Week?
You
know
have
what
to
I'm
be
saying?
on point at all times out
And
there.
I'm going
right,
to throw this
Christina?
out there. Like, he's probably having a better time there than he would be hooping right now.
Yes.
James Harden is about that life, so odd couple.
I just love how, first of all, you say that Lil Baby was confused. When James Harden walked out, I honestly was like, what is he looking like? It can't be the Paps. It has to be something else, because he was like.
Also, like, what do you think the Pops thought of James Harden in respect to Lil Baby? Because they knew Baby, but like, do you think that they thought Harden was like his bodyguard or something?
I think
He's
they're
a
like
large man.
They're like, we got
the
the right guy. Like, he's not reacting. Everything was delayed. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so speaking of duos, Chris Paul and Devin Booker made some history in Game 1, becoming just the second duo in their finals debut to each post 25 or more points. Last two to do it were Katie and Russ in 2012 with 36 and 27 respectively. Shaq and Penny did it first in 1995 with 26 each. So that made us think, what are your favorite NBA star pairings? Trev, you want to go first?
I can if you would like me to. I'm going Bron and Kyrie. And obviously the proficiency was one thing, but there was always just like a little bit of animosity between the two of them that kind of made that pairing just that much better, right? It was Kyrie detesting the idea of being LeBron's little brother, and LeBron being the father in Cleveland that's just trying to ruin the championship for his city and will do anything and drag anybody at all costs. It was just that.
He's like, I know this is my team, but I need this guy. Like, I really need this guy. So that's a good choice right there. C-Dub, I went like with a little bit of a throwback for no reason in particular other than we have the same name and this was the first professional athlete. I was like, wait. Gary Payton? I'm in. You mean Gary Payton and Sean Kemp? These dudes ran the 90s. I grew up watching these guys as a kid in Denver. Our Nuggets absolutely stunk, and they would absolutely clean up. My mom and pops bought me the Reebok Kamikazes that Sean Kemp had. I was the coolest dude in
black and white ones?
And then I made the middle school basketball team. They bought me the Gary Payton gloves.
Oh, we lit.
I was like, Gary, I'm made. It probably shouldn't surprise you that Paul Correa was also my favorite hockey player, and Gary Sheffield was my favorite baseball player.
Just
doesn't take much.
You know what? You guys always talk about how I choose my favorite players and teams. Gary just does it because they're named Gary.
He a wild boy. We understand that.
That's worse, okay?
Gary
It's worse.
Busey's my favorite actor.
Okay, so speaking of people that I choose as my favorite people, I chose LeBron and Dwayne Wade because I like to take my talents down to South Beach. I was actually in South Beach when this went down, and everybody was so mad about these two coming together, and I just loved it. It brought so much excitement to the city of Miami, and I'm gonna make myself sound cool right now because I feel like everybody in this network always knows people. I don't know nobody. However, I got to be at the finals party at Club Story in Miami, so I held it down. Okay? I was like right in front of their table. Gabrielle Union walked up, and I felt like I was a part of the party.
Hey, time out. You said you was right in front of their table. You were at the table.
I was at the table.
No.
I was at the table in front of their table. So there was like their table, and I was at the table in front of theirs.
Like, man, you're getting a little bit too close to the velvet rope. I'm gonna need you to take a couple. By the way, 11 years ago today, LeBron made the decision.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That was today. I get my days all mixed up and everything like that. Look at you, Christine.
That makes me feel old, so we're just gonna move on. Cassidy, Perk, Jacoby, what are your thoughts on your favorite NBA star pairings?
I mean, I guess I'll go first, and I'll go with the obvious. Jordan, Scotty. And I'm not talking about, like they may have beef right now, but that, like, I don't know how you can deny it. The fact that you guys didn't even slip them in.
We didn't want to steal that from you, Cass.
What's going on in Bristol? Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I appreciated Gary Payton, and Sean Kemp. I actually like little facts since we're sharing facts about ourselves. I had a Gary Payton poster on my wall, not a Jordan poster or a Pippen poster. It was Gary Payton, the glove. Perk, who's your all-time duo in NBA history?
I got to go with Kobe and Shaq, right? I mean, because you talking about one of the most dominant players to ever play the game of basketball in Shaquille O'Neal, or if not the most dominant. And then you talk about one of the most skilled players to ever touch the damn basketball in Kobe Bryant. Like, this is when you know your duo is special. When every single year it was a toss-up doing that three-peat. Although Shaq won those finals MVPs, it was still a toss-up. They was like, who's going to get it, Shaq or Kobe, Shaq or Kobe? And they end up giving it to Shaq, but Kobe was still doing his part. And I feel like if that duo would have stuck together, they would probably have 8 or 9 championships, to be honest.
Facts. Jacoby, who's yours?
My number one favorite duo in this finals is Trevor and Gary, but number 2 in finals history, I'm going to take you back to the old school, because y'all don't remember this one, but it was 50 years ago, and there's a lot of parallels between my duo and what's happening in the finals. And that is Oscar Robinson and Luau Cinder, who was transitioning into Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You've got the veteran point guard with the young center stud, and you've also got the Milwaukee Bucks franchise. The last time they won one, like, to me, the big O, people forget because then we don't have the YouTube highlights, but the big O and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, formerly Luau Cinder, on the same team, were unstoppable duo, and you see the parallels with the Suns, and also you see the jerseys with the Bucks.
Shout out to our PA and CAs who found that video.
Own it.
Old.
I called that one in late, too. I called that one in like 30 minutes ago.
They had to go into the archives.
They legitimately pulled tapes. That wasn't a digital dig. Like that, they were pulling tapes.
That's on the server. Those are on the server.
No, shout out to Jacoby for teaching the kids some things. Okay, we'll be back with you guys in just a bit, because we're gonna look at couple things that stuck out in the last couple days, and we wanted to run through these things that caught our eye in a segment we called "Did y'all see this?" And look, the one thing that really caught our eye was that Big Perk is living his best life in the desert, out with the people. Perk, have you been enjoying your time in the valley?
Yeah, look, I'm telling you, they adopted me. I said Suns in 6, and they instantly said that I'm a Valley boy now. You see the crowd? You see the fan base? They was fired up. Look, I was sweating like an uncle in church, but I was getting through it, okay?
No, we saw you on the jump today, like having the whole, like you had a whole squad fanning you.
Glam squad, fan squad.
It's a dry, yeah, it's the desert. It's hot. It's hot.
Perk, you got a lot of fans, and you need a lot of fans. Like, you got fans and you need fans.
I was rushing. Look, I'm telling you, I couldn't deal with it.
Look, that heat, it gets you. It grabs you. It suffocates you. But at least it's a dry heat. That's all I'm going to say. Another thing that we noticed in this past, actually it was today, Jacoby, did you see this? Where did Pop, thinking that Bradley Beal is thick, land on your things that were likely to be said this week?
Hold on. Let me call a 20-second on this, because I didn't just read the tweet. I read the whole article, and I read the whole quote. Pop doesn't know that the streets are using the word thick like that. Pop said that he thought that he would be skinny and wiry, and that he's bigger and thicker than he thought. So, Pop, I got you. You know, Pop's a little bit older than even I am, and he doesn't know the way the internet uses thick and the way he uses thick are two different things. He just meant that he was built. He didn't mean that he was stacked.
No, shout out to you, Jacoby, for, actually being an adult and not just reading the headlines. We get caught up in that. So good explaining that. But
he spelled it with a
thick
K.
or not.
He spelled it with a K.
Yeah, not with a double C. Look, thick or not, depending on your views. What did you guys think of Team USA's new uniforms? Because we saw Bradley Beal sporting them today. You guys like the new look?
You know what? I'm actually rocking with it. I like the design. You got to mix it up a little bit. I actually love them. I mean, you got to change.
Perk, hold up the David Robinson jersey again. You got your prop?
Yes.
Yeah, I got it right up.
I'm not going to say these aren't great jerseys, but I'm going to say what you have right there is a whole nother class of jersey with the champion C and the red, white, and blue. Like that is classic. Something tells me that Perk won't be holding up these jerseys in 20 years.
No, I'm not trying to be unpatriotic, but I think those jerseys look like high school jerseys. Like, I'm not into them. I think they could have added a little.
I want to say it. I wanted to say it. You said it.
Like I want a little something like the ombre. That's played out at this point. I was expecting a little bit more, but you know what? There's a lot of there's a lot going on heading into Tokyo, so I'll give them a pass here. Let's keep this moving. Yesterday during media availability, Cam Johnson revealed something that made me feel real lazy. That he's not done with college quite yet. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely candid with you. It's been on hold. It's been on hold for a while. I'm halfway through it. I've proposed it. And I'm getting ready to do data collection, but I've been getting ready to do data collection for a while. Yeah, it's definitely going to get done, but it is on hold right now. It's not like I finish the game and go home and open up my laptop and get to typing. But it's definitely something that I'll go on record saying I'm gonna finish it this offseason.
He's talking about finishing his thesis as he's getting his master's in sports management while also competing in the NBA Finals. Jacoby, how much of an underachiever do you feel like right now? Because I very much do.
I can relate. He sounds like me when my wife asked me to fix the air conditioner. Like I'm in the data collection phase. Like right now I'm just collecting data. And I'm going to get to it, but this is just the first step in the process to collect the data, and then eventually I will actually fix the air conditioner.
And then sometimes you go a little too far, and you say, okay, I'm gonna get it done by this date. I promise. Like you did. I'm gonna get it done by the summer.
You know what? Cam makes me feel horrible. All the off time that I had, the least I could have did was go and get a bachelor's degree. Here this man is trying to, he's committed to getting his master's. I'm seriously, I could have at least went and got my bachelor's degree in something, right? So he didn't look. You never know. You can learn from young people every single day, right? And I've learned from him today, and I'm committed right down hoop strings to go and get my bachelor's degree. I just don't know in what yet.
Wow.
Perk. I'm proud of you, Perk.
This is quite the revelation. Yeah. I'm proud of you. I mean, I was just going to say, you're pretty much getting a master's in TV broadcasting because you've been killing the game lately, so you shouldn't feel bad about yourself. But I appreciate this, and I support this. I do want to keep it going with the media availability yesterday because there are a lot of gems. Mike Budenholzer, he has a dad who's a coach. He's a Hall of Fame high school coach, and he's in his 90s, and he still gives his son some advice from time to time. Listen to Coach Bud.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll lead with the difference between the NBA and high school. He wants us to press every minute of every game. He doesn't understand why we don't press more. And one of his favorite lines to me was, "You should press as soon as they get off the bus."
Perk, you said they should pick him up.
Perk, you said Drew Holiday should be doing that. That's what you said too, Perk.
You said it. So you agree with Vince Budenholzer?
Yeah. Yeah, look, all due respect to the dad of Coach Bud, Look, you cannot press in the NBA. If you press in the NBA, you might give up 200 points. But I get what he's saying. He's saying apply pressure. He's saying apply pressure. He's just saying it in old people terms. He's saying apply pressure. That's what I need you to do.
I mean, if like full court press, if there can't be a more high school like cry from a head coach. Pick up full court press. Like, it's giving me flashbacks from high school basketball. But I don't know. I mean, they got to keep the Suns on their toes. So maybe we will see some of Vince Budenholzer's impact on this game. But look, not sure if the Bucks will decide to press the Suns from off the bus. But let's bring in our crew from Bristol back here and get some Game 2 predictions, as we're about 5 minutes away from the start of this game. And Trevor, I want to start with you. Like, what's your feeling about tonight?
Look, I know one thing is for certain and two things are for daggone sure, that Budenholzer will be blamed regardless of result, right, in all of this and whatever unfolds for Milwaukee, right? Because that is just the narrative that has seemed to follow him. And when he did the adjustments that he made in Game 1, it ended up not working out in his favor, and we pretty much ripped him for that too. So I do believe that the Bucks will make a more valiant effort. I just don't know that it will be enough for a Phoenix Suns team that really has a whole lot of confidence at home. So Phoenix takes Game 2.
Gary, I mean, Perk and Jacoby ready to pick the Bucks. How are you feeling?
And I'm going to piggyback off them because they know more basketball and they've forgotten more basketball than I'm going to dare to pretend like I know. And I kind of agree with them. The Suns had the perfect game. Chris Paul, however many points, he only had 2 turnovers. Booker was there. Ayton was clocked in. Like, we saw nothing from Jrue Holiday. Chris Middleton carried the lion's share, and now Giannis has 1 game under his belt. I think there's just going to be more contributions from the rest of Milwaukee's players who actually have to contribute, and I see Milwaukee getting the game to win. Also because I want to see this series stretched out because I love how they party at Deer Park, so give me at least 6 games.
Exactly. Christine, I know I'm watching Jrue Holiday tonight because I want to see, how he steps up and if he's allowed to take on the defensive assignment of Chris Paul single-handedly and to irritate him. I mean, is there a player that you're keeping your eye on?
I'm looking at Giannis. I said at the top of the show, he only got 11 shots up. I wonder if he's able to put up more in this game. And I feel like if he is able to, and like you said, if Jrue Holiday is able to execute, I feel like the Bucks will probably pull this one off because we cannot get a Suns sweep. I feel like if they go up 2-0, it's all Suns from the rest of the time on. So the Bucks need to win this game. But I also am curious. Okay, what were you gonna say, Perk?
Can I get 1 point, just 1 point on why I think the Bucks, another point that why I feel like the Bucks are going to win this game? We have to look at, right, Deandre Ayton is the only real center and big man, besides maybe Frank Kaminsky. I wouldn't even consider him a big man. But if Brook Lopez and Giannis are in tag mode and they could find some type of way to put some pressure on Ayton and get him in foul trouble, it would be really, really hurtful for the Phoenix Suns tonight. And I think that might be a game plan that the Bucks plan to do.
Well, I'm curious, knowing that Jacoby is in the lead in our fantasy draft, who we think is going to be able to knock Jacoby out of that first spot.
That'll never happen. That'll never happen.
I mean, somebody's got to do it.
Well, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Exactly.
You last, dog. You last. So.
Perk, you feel it's a campaign game. It's a campaign game. Is that what you're rooting for?
I believe in
a fast horse don't run long.
Well, I do want to say this about tonight's game is I think that we're going to get a very different energy, a very different vibe. It did feel like everything went right for the Suns in Game 1. I predict the Bucks to win, but not just that. I really predict the energy to be different. I predict the lead to go back and forth. We're going to get one of those tight games with 20 lead changes and timeouts, and we're going to get some energy between the teams, some of that animosity on the court. Like, I think this one will be one of those tight, contested finals games that goes down to the last 2 minutes, and the last 2 minutes take 30 minutes and my wife gets mad.
Look, in watching that Game 1, like, to your point, Jacoby, Phoenix definitely looked like the more prepared team. And I think that they've been the most prepared team in these playoffs, whether it's because they've had more time off than most of their opponents. I just feel like my prediction is if the Suns go up 2-0, like, I don't think anyone should panic and say that the series is over because it's so evenly matched and because it's based on the health of Giannis. And, Coach Bud said and emphasized, Giannis is a rhythm guy. And, he missed 2 games and he's still, as much as he says that he's not focused on his knee out there, I feel like that's pretty impossible to not be focused on your knee just a little bit. So the more comfortable he gets out there, more comfortable he gets with maneuvering with that knee, I think the more confident the Bucks are going to get, especially when they get back home in Milwaukee. So all I'm saying is that it's not over after the Suns go 2-0. That's what they're supposed to do, right?
True. Any other final thoughts?
Series tied 1-1 today.
There it is.
After tonight.
Count it. I always say what Perk says because he knows exactly what he's talking about. For some reason, he's like a prophet. All right, that is Hoop Streams presented by DoorDash. If you are watching on the app, go on and log into your cable provider, and you can watch it right here. We make it very easy for you. We will see you guys next time.